Greetings, family. Peace and love to you and yours. This is Guru, and thanks for visiting my channel. So, family, this video is about an ex-Chicago police chief who says Black Lives Matter emboldens criminals. Now, one has to wonder, why is he an ex-Chicago police chief? Is it perhaps that they never could do their jobs properly, and that's why there's a problem in Chicago? Yeah, let's go to the story. So, Black Lives Matter advocates for dignity, justice, and respect, but fired Chicago Police Superintendent Garry McCarthy said Sunday, a quote, political atmosphere of anti-police sentiment, unquote, is leading to non-compliance. A state of lawlessness around the country and Black lives murdered in Chicago. Well, it's interesting that he even is talking about the murders in Chicago, because I would have liked to have known what was it that you did to curtail and prevent these murders in Chicago. It seems that every time I listen to the deaths and the shootings and the crime in Chicago, the question I have is, who are the people in charge that are not doing their jobs? Because obviously what you're doing has not worked. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to come up with solutions as to how to curtail crime, especially murders, unless you're just not fit for the job. And maybe that's why you're now an ex-police chief. But anyways, it says, quote, so what's happening, and this is ironic, is that a movement with the goal of saving Black lives at this point is getting Black lives taken. So, because 80% of our murder victims here in Chicago are male blacks, unquote, McCarthy told host John Castamattis on the Cats Roundtable. Quote, less than half of 1% of all the shootings in this city involve police officers shooting civilians, unquote. Okay, well, let me just stop right there. You cannot talk about the 1% or less than 1% of all the shootings in the city involving police officers shooting civilians. Listen, some of these shootings could be by the police themselves. I'm going to throw that out there. It's not impossible that you have rogue police, racist race soldiers who wear police uniforms and badges, who get away with murder as it is. But these people off duty, we don't know if these are the people that's going into the city killing black people. They say that, oh, it's black on black crime, but yet they never have any criminals to prove it. They never come up with the evidence to prove that it's black on black. They only say it in words, but they don't have the proof. Why is that? It's a question we need to ask, especially to this ex-police chief. Anyways, I'm glad he's now fired. So, going on, it says, McCarthy added, Chicago and its murder rate is just the, quote, worst example of how politics have created an environment of emboldening criminals and hamstringing the police. I don't think so. What's happened is the microscope has been placed on police departments across America who have gotten away with murder, killing innocent or at least unarmed people. Whether they're innocent or not, they're unarmed and they still deserve their day in court. That's a problem when you have police officers who are taking the lives of people in the streets and not allowing the justice system to play itself out. That's a problem. And I would say to this ex-police chief, Garry McCarthy, that's why you no longer are the police chief, because you don't get it. So you go on shows like the Cats Roundtable and you spew this kind of hatred, because that's what it is, especially when you paint a broad brush on the whole Black Lives Matter. saying that they embolden criminals. You're a criminal. You're a criminal, Garry McCarthy, for coming up with rhetoric like this. In my opinion, you are the criminal. And again, I'm glad you were fired. I digress. So McCarthy goes on to say, quote, "People are dying in record numbers here," McCarthy told Katsamatis, or whatever the name is. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Quote, "Does that make any sense? We are very clearly going down the wrong path, and the political environment that exists in this city and across this country is contributing to a sense of lawlessness," says the ex-police chief who could not figure out how to curtail murders in his own city. That's why you're gone. He continues by saying, "A movement such as Black Lives Matter has had a legitimizing effect on violent criminals, impacting safety and policing," according to McCarthy. Well, again, you were fired, so your opinion really doesn't matter. And you were fired probably because you didn't know what the hell you were doing. So to listen to your rhetoric right now, it would be kind of silly. But I am going to report what you said. He continues by saying, quote, "It starts with non-compliance on the part of the individual," McCarthy said. "That non-compliance is being legitimized by what's happening politically. Legitimizing that non-compliance is leading to disorder," he says. McCarthy is hopeful in the new year with the new president and President-elect Trump's nominee for Attorney General Jeff Sessions, some things can swing back into the police's favor as opposed to President Barack Obama's administration. Wow. So this racist idiot, he goes on to say that he's glad that with the new president that maybe things will swing back into the police's favor as opposed to President Barack Obama's administration. That in and of itself didn't even make sense. He's trying to tie the Obama administration to the failure of his police department, and again, why he was fired. So it sounds like he's trying to buy to get his job back, which he should not. You were fired because you didn't know what you were doing. You were fired because you had no solutions to the shootings in Chicago. You were fired because you guys could never come up with the evidence of black on black crimes and shootings in Chicago, because you were fired because you never had those arrests to quell the shootings. Instead, your police department, you guys turned your heads and you focused elsewhere. As a matter of fact, what you focused on is killing more black people and putting more black people in your jails and prisons. That's about it. And so if you were doing your job and investigating these shootings and coming up with real solutions as to how they can stop, well, we wouldn't be having this conversation. You would still be the police chief, wouldn't you, Garry McCarthy? I think so. So he ends off by saying, quote, "I think the Trump election, quite frankly, is a reaction to that," he said. No, it's not. I think the people are tired of career politicians who never really had a job telling us how we should think and how we should act. America is fed up with that. And again, that just doesn't make sense. I'm going to read it one more time. Quote, "I think the people are tired of career politicians who've never really had a job telling us how we should think and how we should act. America is fed up with that." Well, number one, we don't allow politicians to tell us how to think and how we should act. We think on our own. Remember, this is a free country. God dang, you people are sickening. So with that said, family, that's the extent of this article. I wanted to share it with you to show you the hypocrisy and the lies that they're constantly pushing. And besides now David Clark, the so-called sheriff, we have people like this ex-Chicago police chief speaking out against Black Lives Matter. We need to stop these people from doing that, painting broad brushes on the Black Lives Matter movement or what we're aiming to do. And when I say we, I don't mean we as in me, because I'm not a part of Black Lives Matter. However, I do stand behind the declaration that black lives do in fact matter. People are misconstruing and mixing the two together that, oh, if you say Black Lives Matter, you're a part of the Black Lives Matter movement. No, we're declaring that our lives as black people matter. Get it through your thick skull with that little pea brain of yours. Anyways, thanks for watching, family. I really appreciate it. Please like, share, and if you're watching this video, subscribe. Until the next video, peace and love to you and yours. Take care.